We're here on the red carpet with the esteemed author-illustrator Patricia Polacco, winner of many fine awards over the years. In terms of all the Caldecott winners, if you look at them, which one would you say is your favorite Caldecott winning book of all time?
I would have to say I was thrilled when Jerry Pinkney won the Caldecott. It was so long coming. And he's, I think, one of the finest illustrators in the world. And it was time for him to be recognized. And he's a dear human being. So I would have to say that. And many of his books, I have thought, should have gotten it. And the one that did, of course, should have. So high time. High time.
A well-deserved Caldecott that was actually won. That is true. Now, you have a book coming out, and I believe it is a kind of, I don't know if I can call it a prequel or a sequel, or it's a companion picture book. I believe it's The Blessing Cup. It is a companion to The Keeping Quilt. Can you tell me a little bit about that book?
Well, The Blessing Cup, the Keeping Quilt, you have to hear the background first, is about a family quilt that was put together from the remnants of clothing of my relatives who were in Russia. When they arrived in this country, it was made with the babushka scarf that the great-grandmother was wearing, her dress, and they brought burlap bags full of clothes of the people they had to leave behind, because in those times they were never going to see them again. So that quilt then became the kind of family heirloom in that it was used to hold new babies as a wedding chuppah when you're married. We put it over the coffins when people in our family pass. It's literally part of everything within our family. So given that book was written 25 years ago. And Paula Wiseman of Paula Wiseman Books, which is part of Simon & Schuster, approached me a long, long time ago and said, Tricia, do you think you could do a story of why your family left Russia to begin with? And I said, well, I imagine they left because of the pogroms. That's what it was about. There was persecution. They had to get out. So I finally wrote the story down, actually swatted up a dummy, brought it to Paula, and she says, oh, my land, this is it. This is the next book. So 25 years have passed since The Keeping Quilt and The Blessing Cup, but they resemble each other so remarkably in their style, and the type of artwork that was done is as if no time passed at all. But what it's about is while they were still in Russia, they were given, the mother of the family was given this beautiful tea set. And the cups at that time didn't have a handle. You drank the tea by holding your thumbs over the edge, put sugar in your mouth, and you drank it that way. But it was a magic tea set, according to the family, because it would bring blessings. The blessings were, it will bring you love. It will bring you not wealth, but prosperity. It will bring the memories of your family and closeness. So given that this cup, when the pogroms came and they had to leave their village, they took the tea set with them and underwent horrible, awful times. And eventually the father became very ill. They ended up staying with a doctor in Verdansk, and he was so kind to them and did so much to help them that eventually he sold a Persian rug that belonged to him so he could get them papers to get out of Russia. So they left it with him, but they took only one cup. That cup now has been passed down generation after generation after generation in my family. And I was always kind of sorry when my two children were born that I didn't have two cups to give them. So at the end of the book, and this is true, in the 1989 earthquake, my china cabinet went over. I lived in the Bay Area. I was in the Loma Prieta earthquake. And the Blessing Cup split in half exactly. So now both of my children have a piece of that cup. But it's more or less saying, I realize now the blessings were the stories my family handed down to me, and their memories and their heart and their soul, and I'm rich because of that. So that's what the story is about.
That's great. One final question for you. If you could steal anything from a Caldecott winning book or any picture book, it's one object, what would you steal?
Well, now let me think.
That's a tricky one.
Let me think. Well, I guess in the Seven Blind Mice or Six Blind Mice, when Ed Young won it, I happen to be an animal lover, and I'm actually rather attracted to mice, believe it or not. So I suppose I would want those mice. That's what I would want.
They're beautiful and colorful. That's right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. And what a wonderful event. And very, very happy to be part of it and to see all of this wonderful festivity. We have... It makes me feel good to think we're living in a time now where librarians are set upon. And here is this glorious event that celebrates them and what they're about, as well as the authors and the illustrators. So I'm very pleased to be here. Thank you.